Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to my review of Season 4, Episode 18 of Lucha Underground, called Spiders and Skeletons. And this was a pretty good episode of Lucha Underground this week. This was a pretty good show, very enjoyable show. We had a total of 4 matches tonight, and they're still building to Ultima Lucha Cuatro, which is going to be happening in 3 weeks. And it's the last part of Ultima Lucha Cuatro. It's going to be the season finale. So this is going to be a short season of Lucha Underground. But let's get started with the review. So, of course, when Lucha Underground starts, we get a video recap of what happened, in the previous episodes. So, we got that. Then we get welcomed by Matt Striker and Vampiro on commentary. And they announce some matches tonight. One of the matches is going to be a tag team match. And it's going to be Muertes and Fenix versus the Mack and El Dragon Azteca Jr. I think this is the first time that Muertes and Fenix are tag teaming. So that's going to be a tag team match. And then we're going to have Reklusa, aka Chelsea Green, facing Pentagon Dark. So we got those 2 matches, those 2 big matches tonight. Then after we get the introduction from Matt Striker and Vampiro, we see Taya inside the ring, and she was calling out Antonio Cueto, and she ends up calling him a piece of shit because of what Matanza did, at her and Johnny Mundo's wedding, where he practically destroyed and took out everybody there. And then Antonio comes out, and he ends up Taya ends up demanding a match with Matanza. So then Antonio ends up booking the match, and it's a sacrifice to the gods match between the both of them. So yeah, so that was the first match, Matanza versus Taya, sacrifice to the gods. And the match started off with Taya again, getting the advantage, and we saw Matanza end up making, getting the upper hand in the match, and it was back and forth between the both of them. And at the end of the match, Johnny Mundo ends up coming in, and he attacks Matanza, and because of that, the match ended in a DQ, in a disqualification. So Matanza wins the match by disqualification. And because of that, of course, there would be no sacrifice. So, but it was a short match. Nothing great about it. And so then Johnny Mundo then continued his attack, the attack on Matanza. Matanza then end up standing in the ring, staring at Taya and Johnny Mundo. And Johnny, how he took down Matanza, he ended up hitting the Midnight Driver, and he did his signature finisher, which was the end of the world on Matanza. And then he went over to check on Taya, and then Matanza just got up that fast. He was like Braun Strowman, where if Braun Strowman gets knocked down, he stands up quickly that fast. That is how the way Matanza stood up in this in tonight's episode. So, but all in all, it was a short match. Nothing great about it. So then when Lucha Underground came back from the commercial, Matt Striker and Vampiro went over the card for Ultima Lucha Cuatro. And so the first thing they announced, it's made official. It's going to be Johnny Mundo versus Matanza in a sacrifice to the gods match at Ultima Lucha Cuatro. So that was just announced. So I have to say, give my predictions. Mundo might be sacrifice to the gods. I think Matanza is definitely going to beat Mundo. Then they said we're going to have Son of Havoc versus Killshot, of course. Mask versus Mask match. So that's going to be pretty good to see. Then we're going to have Pentagon Dark versus Mario the Moth Martinez in a Zero Miedo match for the Lucha Underground Championship. Then Mil Muertes versus the Mack in a death match. Then it's going to be El Dragon Azteca Jr. versus Fenix in a 2 out of 3 falls match. So those are the 5 matches that are announced for Ultima Lucha Cuatro. Definitely looking forward to that. I think it's going to be a really good show. And who knows if it will top Ultima Lucha 3 from last season. So we'll have to wait and see in 3 weeks. So, and then after that we moved on to the next match. It was Mil Muertes and Fenix versus the Mack and El Dragon Azteca Jr. and a tag team match. This was actually a tornado tag team match. And this was a good match. Really enjoyed this match. It was back and forth between these guys. At the beginning of the match, all 4 men, brawled at the start of the match. And then, of course, it went on to one-on-one in the match. It was back and forth. And we saw Fenix and Mil Muertes have some tension between, the both of them. And one point in the match, you actually saw Fenix hitting a cameraman at outside. And and what was funny was the fans were chanting for the cameraman, which was funny. And the end of the match, Mil Muertes and Fenix got the win on the Mack and El Dragon Azteca Jr. So that was the match. But it was a good match. It was a really awesome match. Really enjoyed this tornado tag team match. Very entertaining match. The wrestling was really good in this match. So, good match. Then we had Brenda and Famous B in the ring. Famous B says, he recited the most beautiful wedding of all time, which was Taya and Johnny Mundo's wedding. And he goes on to say, he recited that wedding when they both were brutalized by Matanza. He goes on to say that he rehabbed his leg better than anyone has done before he got back into fighting condition. He goes on to say he has signed an exclusive contract with himself. And he announces he's coming out of retirement and ready for a fight. And so out comes Ricky Mundo with his creepy ass doll, tells Famous B to shut up, and they end up having a match. So it's Ricky Mundo versus Famous B. So, but this match itself, it was okay. Not the greatest match, but Ricky Mundo was just, dominating through the match, just taking out Famous B. Ricky Mundo ended up getting the win with the neck breaker to Famous B. This was basically a squash match. So, but so that's what happened. At the end of the match, Ricky Mundo ended up hitting the neck breaker to Famous B. Then he had after the match, Ricky Mundo says that he heard Johnny and Taya, left the temple already. He then admits to being responsible for letting out Matanza and ruining Johnny and Taya's wedding. Which I knew that was going to happen right before they had the wedding. So I knew it was Ricky all along. And after he confessed that, he challenges Taya to a match at Ultima Lucha Cuatro. And then we see Ricky Mundo end up putting Brenda in a crossface, which she was on top of Famous B. So that's pretty much what happened after the match. So, but looks like we're gonna get also Ricky Mundo versus Taya at Ultima Lucha Cuatro. So, wouldn't be surprised to see if Johnny Mundo has something to reply to Ricky after he confessed that. Wouldn't be surprised. And probably it's gonna leak. So yes, that's what happened in that Ultima Lucha Cuatro, Ricky versus Taya. Ricky challenging her. Then we had the main event, Pentagon Dark versus Reklusa, aka Chelsea Green, her debut match here on Lucha Underground. And this was a good main event. This was a really enjoyable main event. It was back and forth between Pentagon and Reklusa. The wrestling was really good. Reklusa, like when Pentagon made his way to the ring, Reklusa just went right at it, hit a dive onto Pentagon. And she would end up controlling the match early on. And Pentagon then, took control of the match for a bit. And the match ended up going outside of the ring, and it went throughout the temple. You had Reklusa throwing Pentagon into the chairs. Reklusa then hit during her comeback, when she got control of the match again, she ended up hitting a Hurricanrana to the outside on Pentagon, which looked really awesome. Chelsea Green, Reklusa, she's good on the indies. I've seen some of her matches, and very, very entertaining in the ring. And then she ended up hitting a top suicida into a DDT on Pentagon outside, which looked really cool. And then they went back into the ring. It was back and forth. And Pentagon ended up hitting the package pile driver, on the ring apron to Reklusa, which looked really crazy. And he ended up getting a near fall for that. Reklusa ended up kicking out, which was shocking, because I thought the match would be done after that. But then we had Pentagon. We had Marty. Marty Elias, and Pentagon was arguing with him, and Pentagon eventually would get the win after hitting a package pile driver on Reklusa to score the win. So Pentagon ends up winning the match. And after the match, you had Pentagon teasing us, trying to break Reklusa's arm. But then he would go outside of the ring. He would he grabbed something from under the ring, which was a bag. And inside the bag was thumbtacks. And he poured it, in the ring. And after he poured the tax, Pentagon was trying to do a move on Reklusa, but Marty the Moth Martinez ended up coming out. He ended up having a barbed wire baseball bat, and he was just hitting it at Pentagon, and that eventually led to Reklusa going under the ring, retrieving a gas can, and she ended up pouring the gas on Pentagon, and Marty would then tease, thinking that he was going to set Pentagon on fire, because Marty had a lighter in his hand. So yeah, so they were teasing that, but the show ended up ending right there. So, but all in all, the match between Reklusa and Pentagon, it was a good match. It was a very enjoyable match. The wrestling was good and very entertaining and enjoyable, and a bunch of teases in the end after the match, which was done really cool. Got you interested in oh, is he gonna do this, or is he gonna do this, or is he gonna do that? But eventually, they couldn't do it. So yeah, so anyways, that's it for my review of Season 4, Episode 18 of Lucha Underground, called Spiders and Skeletons. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed this review. So definitely give this video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and until next video, I'll see you all later.